Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cindy.
And we're here with another Feeding Frenzy for A Course in Weight Loss. And we're on lesson number 13.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
My favorite.
Happened to be my chapter.
Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Yep. So tell me, what'd you get out of it?
Well, that was, like I said, my chapter. The chapter for those who eat instead of feeling.
But you do a lot of feeling too.
I am starting to do a lot of feeling.
Oh.
Okay, now in the past I didn't, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't overnight that I got this
You
right.
made up for it the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I did. I am learning to feel instead of stuffing it, eating instead of, or looking for an escape. Mm-hmm. And it's a process. And sometimes I have to stop the process in the middle of it. It's so ingrained that I don't even realize it until maybe 3 or 4 bites in. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute, I'm eating this because, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's still a process. So I am being kind to myself and allowing the process, me to work through this process.
Good.
And not saying, okay, from now on, it's never ever going to happen again. Well, might as well say I'm apt to fail. I'm going to be kind to myself as I go through the process, recognizing the feeling, rather than just jumping straight to the distraction. Right. It's a big step forward for me.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not an overly, you're not a stress eater.
No.
And you don't eat from emotion.
I think I have been in the past, but never a lot. Never.
It's not a habitual habit for you.
No.
Where it is an absolute escape for me.
No.
It's not for you.
When I'm really, really down, nothing beats chocolate. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I just give in to it. But I have to be really down to get to that point.
Yeah.
Food's not my first go-to. And I don't feel like I'm a very emotional person. So I deal with my emotions much quicker and easier than most people, in my opinion. Yeah. And, for a long time I questioned, okay, am I stuffing it or am I just doesn't take me as long? And I really think it just doesn't take me as long. Because I don't feel like I'm stuffing it. And even reading through this again, I'm like, well, do I just not give it the attention it needs? But I don't feel like I hang on to it. And so I think we just process things different. All of us do. And yes, at some point I stuffed a lot of them because I was taught to. But I think, and that may be why it doesn't take me as long to get over them now. I don't know, but I don't think I do that anymore. I think I feel them, but it just doesn't take me long to feel through it.
Right.
But it is a tricky thing as to how do you know when you're feeling it and when you're just stuffing it.
Well, it helps me to have someone else ask me, why are you having that? Just that one question, brings me back to the realization, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot to ask that. Why am I having this?
When you say having it, you mean the feeling or the food? Or
no, the food. The food. Why are you eating that? Usually brings up, because and I can feel that in with mad, sad, depressed, upset, If I can fill that sentence in, if I can fill that blank in, then I know I'm eating it for reasons other than
hungry.
It's been a while and I'm hungry. Right. Just like she describes in the chapter. We use all of those other words and put in place, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
When that's not the truth, with us being on the 10-day challenge and going through this, I now recognize what that feels like. And for a long time, I couldn't have told you I'm really hungry. It was, it's 12 o'clock. It's time to eat again.
Right.
It's not, I'm hungry. It was, that bleepity bleepity bleep made me mad again. I'm ready to, it's time for. Do you see what I'm saying? They were all, I couldn't have told you what hungry was. But now I can. And so that helps me with stopping when I'm not hungry anymore. Not when I'm full, because that's a whole other dessert cart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I stop now when I'm no longer hungry. And that surprises me is how little that actually is. And it's more fighting this over, look, that's a normal sized meal. And can you leave that? Can you believe it? That's all you're going to eat? Knowing I can come back to it helps.
You left
a lot.
over half a sandwich yesterday. I was really proud of you.
I'm really trying to work on eating until I'm not hungry anymore. And it took me a while to figure out what feeling hungry is.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people have trouble with that. As a matter of fact, another weight loss program I was on suggested that the first thing you do is fast until you feel a legitimate hunger. And I taught that class at the time, and you wouldn't believe how many people came back and said, I don't know what hunger feels like.
Exactly.
What does it feel like?
Exactly. I had to start there.
And some people fasted, no joke, for 2 or 3 days before they felt actual hunger because they had been stuffing so much in their body that they either didn't know what it felt like or they just had so much, their body was so out of whack they couldn't tell what hunger was until it got really hungry. Yeah. And now I have to say that left to myself, I wouldn't eat unless I was hungry. Because I didn't even think about food until my stomach starts trying to eat itself. Yeah. But it's harder for me when I'm in a house full of other people because somebody's always reminding me about food. I'm fixing to eat. You want anything? Yeah. And it's easy for me to say, well, yeah, if you're fixing, sure, even if I'm not hungry yet. Because I might get hungry. For somebody else off. You know what I'm saying?
For somebody else cooks.
Right. And it was even harder when my kids were smaller and couldn't fix for themselves and I was having to fix for them. Because if they're hungry and screaming at me, then it's easy to just eat with them, even if I'm not hungry. So, I would find it much easier if it was just me, left to myself, to know when I'm hungry and go get whatever I'm hungry for at the time. Eat until I'm not hungry and then be done. But life gets in the way. We can't do that.
My call to action, I guess, for this chapter was actually feeling the feelings, which is still difficult. Nobody wants to be that incredibly mad or sad or whatever it is, Especially if you are like me, an emotional eater. It's much easier to say, I don't have to think about that anymore. I'm just going to have an Oreo. And you get that momentary, and you can just dismiss it. That's much easier than just being mad.
Right. And it just changes your focus.
It does.
It doesn't feel the feeling.
It hurt using the analogy of pushing it into my flesh. Taking that energy and making it inert instead of it being dynamic. Because when we stop anger or whatever, it's a dynamic energy. Anger is a dynamic energy. So is sadness and every other feeling or emotion that you can have. And if I choose to stop it or stuff it, then we cause that energy to become inert. Well, I've got to do something with the inert energy too. Right. And pushing that into my flesh, man, that really brought in a big picture for me. That was a big whoa.
Well, and a lot of us have been taught not to have emotion, that it's wrong to have emotion. Yes. I know, as parents, we sometimes worry when our kids are crying. And so I was told, you can't cry, don't cry. And so I learned to hide it if I did, or stuff it and never cry. And when I finally did cry, though, it was like, okay, I got to catch up on all of these tears.
Ocean of tears,
Yeah. So I've tried to make sure, as a parent, that I always tell my kids it's okay to cry and to feel what you're feeling, and not make them feel shame or guilt or anything for feeling those feelings. If they're mad, they need to express that anger, maybe not by killing their brother, but, by getting it out. Yeah, go outside and scream, or, we could do that on the farm, but, go hit some baseballs, or, something, that kind of stuff.
Those little blow-up things that they used to make for kids.
Yeah.
I used one of those several times myself as an adult. Yeah. And, man, there was a lot of satisfaction in that, especially if you paste a picture on that blow-up thing. You can really get
I'll tell you one thing that really
some anger out.
Yeah, that helped my kids, I think, was karate. Taking karate and going almost every day of the week, at least during the weekdays, allowed them to get some anger, some controlled anger out. You beating on a punching bag or even fighting with each other so much.
I know that since we started exercising, I have used the exercise sometime to expel that energy. And that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Those were really good exercise days when David said, boy, you're really hitting it today. Yeah, I'm really hitting it. So, I think the key is, rather than food, learning how to expel that energy in a different constructive way. The exercise or the karate, like you said.
Or giving into it and just laying in the bed
And a
all
lot of
day.
times I have to just give into it. And it's a whole lot quicker process if I just relax into it. If I'm feeling overwhelmed and sad, and if I just be sad in the moment, it passes a whole lot quicker than if I'm trying to stuff it or avoid it. Because then I'm carrying it with me forever and ever and ever until I release it.
Yeah. And I like where she talked about how she helped her daughter through the loss of a friend. And maybe as friends and parents and just family, we need to learn how to just sit with somebody instead of trying to fix it. You know, it's just say, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
And just be with them and comfort them without trying to take it away or keep them from going through it. Because sometimes life just sucks and bad things happen and we just have to deal with hurt and pain.
Yeah.
But I know when you're feeling bad or when one of my kids are feeling bad, the first thing I want to do is fix it. And I go to work trying to fix it, which is the wrong thing to do in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So that's one I need to work on, is to quit trying
I think
to fix
this is a good time to introduce the scale.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you and I together use the scale, but we also use it with our kids, and it has helped so much in knowing where you are on your own scale and where the other person is on their own scale.
So if I remember correctly, this started when our friend was sick.
Yes.
And I knew you wanted to be there a lot, but I didn't know if you wanted me to be with you when you were there and different things like that.
And
so,
we wanted to take out, I'm giving in because you want to. We wanted to take that out of the equation. We truly wanted to understand each other's feelings.
Right.
So we decided to come up with this scale.
Right. So it's a 1 to 10. 1 being no, I don't want to go, or no, I don't want to do that, or no,
I'm not going to.
not going to.
Regardless.
Right. So that'd be a 0. And then a 10 is I'm going whether you go.
I'm going whether
I'm
you
going.
go.
I don't care how you feel or what you say. I'm going to do it. And so for instance.
So a 5 is either way. I'm good either way.
5 is I'm good either way, whatever you decide. So for instance, if we want to go to the movies and we're trying to choose which movie, then we can check in with, well, where are you on this one? If you're at a 5 and you could go to this one or not, and then we check in. If I'm at a 6, then we'll go to that one. If I'm at a 5 or a 4, then we probably won't. So it just helps us to check in. But
it really helps with the emotions too. So that when you're trying to fix it, I don't necessarily need it fixed. I just need you to leave me alone or whatever. We can check in on the scale and say, okay, well, in me leaving you alone, where are you? Okay, 0 being no, I absolutely need you here, and 10 being I absolutely don't want you here. You know,
Right.
Then we could figure out where we are on each scale. But the point is for each individual to be true to your own scale.
Right. And not say a 6 when you really feel like a 4, but you don't want to hurt their feelings. It takes the feelings out of it. I don't care if this hurts your feelings. I'm at a 10. I'm going without you regardless. You know, for me, it helps to take the feelings out of it because then I don't worry about hurting yours.
We have found that this scale really, really works for
Especially
us.
with
It
the
always works. It helps tremendously with our kids, and not so much for us to talk to our kids, but our kids to talk to us about their true feelings, knowing it's not going to hurt my feelings one way or the other wherever you are on this scale. It's where you are, and that is okay. And that really helped them express themselves to us.
Right, right. But it also helps to show that, okay, I may be at a 3 or a 4 and not really want to do this, but since you're at a 7 or 8, I'll go ahead and do it because I love you. And it helps to show the other person that I'm doing this because I love you, not because I want to do it.
Right.
But because I love you and care for you and want to give in every once in a while. I don't want everything to always be my way.
Right.
So I think it helps to show our kids that even though we don't really want to do things sometimes, that we go ahead and make a compromise.
Exactly.
Now, if I were at a 0, I probably wouldn't do it, So it's not hurting me. But at the same time, I don't have to go and be mad the whole time I'm there trying to show you I really want to be here.
Right, exactly.
And that's what a lot of the times our kids would do. they didn't want to go to begin with. So to show us that, they would just be mad the whole time they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we give them that scale up front and say, where are you at? If they say a 3 or 4 and we decide you're going anyway,
then we know what to expect.
we know what to expect. And then they've already said their piece.
Yeah.
And they know that, okay, they know I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really made things go a lot
It really has. It really has.
Good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Shreen.
Shreen.